Welcome in, folks, to Tossin the Pigskin. I'm your host, Nate Smith. Today we have a full slate of football analysis. It's finally here, folks. The NFL season kicked off last Thursday night, and we will preview the opening weekend of NFL football for you guys. We have reactions from Chiefs, Patriots, predictions for the weekend, and always some great fantasy advice. Let's go! Getting right into it, guys, alongside Cristian Egurbide and Vinny Asito. So starting off here, Thursday night, the Chiefs go into Foxborough, and they play well. They lay down, some might call a beatdown. We'll see what you think about that, Cristian. But 42-27, the final score. The Chiefs take this one. We'll start with you, Cray. What's your opening impression of that game?
Well, I just thought the defending Super Bowl champions looked a little flat coming out. I mean, they played well coming out at the start of the game, but as the game wore on, they had to deal with some injuries, obviously. Amendola went out of the game. Dante Hightower, who's just the main cog in that awesome defense, went out of the game. And for a team that, gave up the least points allowed last year as a team on the defensive side of the ball, giving up 42 points in your season opener is not the ideal way to start off. Kareem Hunt obviously showed us that he's a real talent, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the season. But yeah, I just thought the Patriots defense really struggled. Yeah,
Vinny, so the Chiefs offense, here's the stat line really quick. 537 total yards of offense. What did they do well? How did they get that many yards?
I mean, you hear that and you're stunned. New England Patriots, of all teams, let up that many yards. I mean, we're not used to seeing that. And, Kansas City kind of had a big three of their own. They had Alex Smith, Tyreek Hill, and like Cray alluded to, Kareem Hunt. I mean, rookie running back stepped right in and he performed against defending Super Bowl champions. So hard to watch. Can't believe it.
Cray, so at this point, I know obviously early on, only week one. Is there any level of concern at all for the Patriots at this point?
Well, I think there has to be, yeah, because Dante Hightower, we don't really know the extent of that injury that he left with, but he's the most important part of that defense, in my opinion. So having him out would be a huge blow to their team. And you look at, they already don't have Edelman. So Amendola is really kind of their secondary guy that allows them to convert third downs in a lot of those situations where Edelman, won't be there. So I think there does have to be some concern. Obviously, they got to play the Saints this next weekend, who, as shabby as they've been in recent years, they still got Drew Brees at quarterback, so you never know when they could give you a game. So I do think there has to be at least a little concern right now in Foxborough, but nothing they can't fix. They just got to take it week by week.
Yeah. So, Vinny, swinging it back to you. For the Patriots, moving on next week and throughout the rest of the season, what's something they have to improve on? What do they have to do better?
Personally, I think the offense needs to improve. They have Tom Brady as their quarterback, so week in and week out, he's going to perform. It's just a matter of who the ball is going to be thrown to. Like Cray alluded to again, having Danny Amendola out now with Julian Edelman out too, torn his ACL. Gronk's got to step up now. You got Chris Hogan as your other receiver there, so they have the weapons. It's just how they're going to use them all.
Yeah. And just a quick stat line from the Chiefs, too. Kareem Hunt finished 17 carries, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. 98 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns through the air. I mean, when you have to face a performance like that, tough to beat.
Rookie, too.
Yeah, rookie out of Toledo. I mean, the ceiling is very high for that player. Moving on here, the last point we got. Eric Berry, fourth quarter, leaves the game. We found out today is a ruptured Achilles. Cray, we'll start with you. What do you think that does for the Chiefs team overall and just obviously the defense moving forward?
Well, obviously he's a team leader, he's a veteran and one of the best players on that defense along with Justin Houston and Marcus Peters, some of these other guys. So their defense will take a hit, obviously, but the way that their offense played last year, maybe they'll be able to handle it and still win football games. I don't think it's, detrimental to the Chiefs' success, just definitely a big hump that they're going to have to deal with because Eric Berry is such a big part of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are a quality team. They have a great defense overall, so we'll see if they can rebound from this Eric Berry loss. It's a big loss. All right, coming up next, we will talk the morning slate for next week. Keep it here. Welcome back in here to Tossin the Pigskin. Once again, I'm your host, Nate Smith. So, guys, this weekend, opening weekend for NFL, we got a lot of great games. We'll start with the morning slate. We'll just run down and get some predictions. So, for the 10 a.m. slot, first game we got Raiders at Titans. Cristian, who do you got?
Well, I got the Oakland Raiders. I think they ended off their season kind of on a sore note last year, obviously with the Derek Carr injury. But he's back this year. They've got a lot of weapons on offense they can use, Amari Cooper. So I just think they'll overpower the Tennessee Titans, really. I think the Titans defense won't be able to deal with their offensive attack. So I see them taking this one.
Vinny, who you got in this one?
I'm sticking with the home team. I'm going with the Titans. You know, a lot of hype around them this offseason, and I think they live up to it.
Yeah. For my prediction, I'm also going with the Titans as well. So we got 2-1 right there. Moving on next, we got Eagles at Redskins. This is an interesting NFC East rivalry game. Seems to always be within a touchdown or so over the past few years. Cray, who you got in this one?
Well, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Carson Wentz, I think in his second year, is only going to get better than what he did last year. And I really trust the defense of the Eagles more than I do the Redskins. So obviously it's a division game. I do think it'll be a close game. But I think the Eagles will take this one.
Vin, who we got?
I'm taking the Eagles too. I love the additions of Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith. I think that really amps up their passing game, and I think Carson Wentz shines, and take the Eagles.
So looks like I'm the odd man out in this one. I'm taking the home team once again. I'm going with Washington this week. Kirk Cousins did lose some weapons offensively on the perimeter, but they brought in Terrell Pryor. They still have Jamison Crowder, Jordan Reed, great tight end. So I think the Redskins will be able to handle this one. Last one for the morning slate. We have Cardinals at the Lions. Vinny, who we got in this one?
I'm taking Arizona. I think Carson Palmer has a bounce-back year. Larry Fitzgerald, Mr. Reliable over there, and I like them beating the Lions week 1.
Well, I mean, I'm not really a believer quite yet in the Arizona Cardinals season. I think, Carson's going to have to show us that he's still the guy that, he was 5 years ago. Because, in the recent seasons, if you take away his 2015 performance, last year was not what we expected from him. So I'm actually going to take the Detroit Lions in this one. I think Matthew Stafford will come out, throw the ball around a little bit on the Cardinals. And, I think the Lions will win.
I'm actually also going to have to take the Arizona Cardinals in this one. I agree with what Vinny said. I think Fitz, even though he's old, he's one of the premier receivers in the game. Mr. Reliable. They got David Johnson in the backfield. And look for that defense to come back healthy and make some noise this year.
Honey Badger's healthy. So.
Honey Badger's healthy. Yeah, it's always a scary sight. All right, moving to the afternoon slate. I believe this is the game of the week. Seahawks at Packers. Vinny, who do you like in this one?
I'm taking Green Bay. I don't think Seattle can go into Lambeau and get the job done. Aaron Rodgers got a new weapon in Martellus Bennett, and I think that offense shines, and they beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers at home is one of the, hardest quarterbacks to beat just because he plays so well at Lambeau Field. Martellus is such a big addition to that offense, along with Jordy and Randall Cobb, some of these other weapons. So, I definitely see the Green Bay Packers winning this one.
Packers again. All right, odd man out once again. I got to go Seattle on this one. Right. I just think this football team is fantastic. You get the addition of Sheldon Richardson to already a defense that was, top 3 in the league probably the past 5 years.
Definitely.
Russell can sling it, so I like the Seahawks in that one. All right, moving to Sunday night, we have Giants at Cowboys. Cristian, who do we like?
Well, I picked the Cowboys to win the NFC, so I got to take them here against their division rivals, the New York Giants. I really like the Giants this year. I think they'll be a playoff team, but after losing both the games last year to the Giants, I think the Cowboys have a little, vinegar about this matchup, and I think they'll come out on fire. And Zeke's playing, so he's an X factor.
Right, Vinny.
All right. Well, you took your division champion. I'm taking mine, so I'm going with the Giants. I think they win this game as long as Odell Beckham's playing. There's no reason that offense won't perform, and defensive-wise, Giants have the defense. Cowboys is the question mark, and that's what you need to win, so I'm taking the Giants.
I agree with your points. The Dallas secondary is definitely an issue, so we'll see how they respond to that lethal receiving core in New York. Definitely. Having that being said, I do still have to take Dallas. I think it'll be a close one within like 4 or 5 points. Last year, both of their games were extremely close, so I got to go Dallas on this one, though. Moving to Monday night, we got the doubleheader. First one, Saints-Vikings. Cray, who you like in this one?
I like the Minnesota Vikings. I think what their defense did last year at the start of the season was really encouraging. I think that if they can come out like that again this year, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, a lot of great players on that defense. And I just think the Saints kind of, have a lot to work on this year. They're incorporating some new backs into their backfield with Adrian Peterson. So I see the Vikings taking this one.
Vinny?
I agree. I think the Vikings win. Drew Brees is coming in town, though, and he's going to put up some big numbers. But Saints defense, believe they were 32nd in pass defense last year, and that's not going to get the job done.
I looked it up before the show. Yep.
Stephon Diggs, Delvin Cook, the rookie running back. I think Minnesota takes it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. Looks like we got a sweep on this one.
It's about
got to go
time.
Minnesota. All right, second doubleheader to that Monday night. We have Chargers at the Broncos. Kind of an interesting game, AFC West rivalry game. Vinny, who do we like in this one?
I'm taking the Denver Broncos, especially because they're home. I think Trevor Siemian comes back this year, has another good year. Didn't do anything special last year, but with the defense he has, doesn't need to be a huge player. So I think Broncos take it.
Yeah, I mean, Mile High is so hard to play out. I got to take the Broncos as well. And like you said, in 2015, we saw, Peyton Manning play below average football at the quarterback position, and they still went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So with that defense, you never know. He's just got to play average. And, the Chargers are not quite there yet as a team, so I definitely think the Broncos.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are still kind of in that rebuilding phase, which sounds weird because Phillip Rivers is old, but, I mean, they got some young talent on defense, so I got to take the Broncos as well. All right, so out of all those games we just listed, I'll start with you with this one, Vinny. Which game intrigues you the most? Which one has caught your eye?
I think I'm sticking to Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Division rival, Giants-Cowboys, seems to happen every year and always lives up to the hype, so
It's good
taking
pick.
that game.
Cristian, which one is most interesting to you?
I got to go with Seattle Green Bay,
Yeah.
just because you talk about two teams in the NFC that are, premier teams you expect to make the playoffs every year, and they're facing off week one. It's going to be interesting whether Seattle comes out as that defensive powerhouse we're used to seeing from them, or whether Green Bay can have their way and, pass the ball around a little bit. So I'm very excited for that game.
For me, I got to go to the morning slate. I got to go Raiders at Titans. Two up-and-coming teams, two young quarterbacks in Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota, and I just think that game, a lot of points will be put up, and I'm just interested to see specifically what we get out of the Titans this year. There's all this hype about them in the offseason. Kind of leads me into my next point. What do you guys think the Titans have to do, or can they take that next step to become a solid playoff team? Vinny, I'll start with you. Do you think they can be a playoff team this year?
I believe so, but I think this is the first step in proving so because they're playing the Oakland Raiders. They're going to be home, which is going to help them out a lot. They got their fans behind them, but if they can come out and beat the Raiders week one, I think they take the next step.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough team within their conference that they got to come out and play. But, I mean, if you look at that AFC South division this year, the Colts, we don't even know how healthy Luck is yet. And then the Jaguars, obviously a lot of problems there. And the Houston Texans, who just kind of seem to squeak their way into the playoffs every year.
Right.
The Tennessee Titans, I feel like, are set up to become a playoff contender and become kind of a force in the AFC if Mariota keeps progressing as he's been.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me overall is just the AFC South, not a lot of competition there. So I think that's definitely a division where benefits a young team to be in a division like that.
Right.
And they had 2 first-rounders this past year. They got Corey Davis out of Western Michigan, the receiver. He's looking to come into a big impact role. And they got cornerback Adoree Jackson from USC. So those are 2 young guys that are probably starting right away. They'll have a big impact either way. Now, you guys all bring up interesting points, so we'll have to see about those games for this weekend. Got a lot of good ones on the slate. Coming up next, we're talking fantasy football. Who do you start? Who do you sit? Keep it live. Welcome back in, folks. It's about time for the best segment on the entire show, fantasy football, the fan favorite. Who will you start? Who will you sit? Who's the sleeper? Vinny's got it all for you.
All right, so for my stardom this week, I'm taking someone that we brought up earlier, Martellus Bennett from Green Bay.
Okay.
I think that's a huge addition, and Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball, so definitely think he puts up some big numbers. My sit-them this week, I'm taking Jeremy Hill from Cincinnati. He got named the starter, but he's got Giovanni Bernard and Joe Mixon now behind him, so I think they're all going to be getting touches. I don't think anyone expects Jeremy Hill to really go off this week, so I'm sitting him. And my sleeper, I'm going to upstate New York and taking Zay Jones for the Buffalo Bills. Other than LaShawn McCoy, they don't really have a huge offensive weapon, so I think Zay Jones, if he can create separation, and I think he can become the guy in Buffalo, be their #1 receiver.
Yeah, I mean, all they really have besides him is Jordan Matthews right now, so he's going to get a lot of targets.
Who's not completely healthy either.
Right.
I mean,
despite him being a rookie, he'll get some balls for sure. All right, Cray, who's your picks?
Well, for my stardom, I got to go to Oakland and pick Amari Cooper, receiver for the Raiders. I'm just so excited to see that Raiders offense. It's going to be high-powered. You got Marshawn Lynch, Crabtree, Amari Cooper, and the Derek Carr Amari Cooper connection is one we haven't seen for quite a while since Carr was injured at the end of last year. So I'm very excited to see it, and I think they'll just torch that Tennessee defense, quite honestly. For my sit-em, I got Dez Bryant, actually, of the Dallas Cowboys. I just think going up against this Giants defense, he's not going to be able to create separation and get the kind of opportunities he usually does. Janoris Jenkins is one guy I really like on that defense of the Giants, and of course Landon Collins over the top is someone you don't want to see when you're out there running routes. So I think you sit Dez Bryant this week against the Giants. And then my sleeper, I got Eric Decker. Going back to this Oakland-Tennessee matchup, which is obviously going to be a great game. Eric Decker, he's kind of always liable to score a touchdown in a big moment of the game. He's just one of those receivers where you get down to the red zone, you know he's going to be, available to make a big catch. So I see him, maybe slipping into the end zone at one point during this game and getting you a touchdown for your fantasy squad.
Yeah, I definitely like Tennessee to air it out a lot this week, so I could see Decker getting the end zone for sure. All right, for me, my stardom, I got Antonio Brown. I mean, it seems like an obvious one because it is, but I just think this week, he plays the Cleveland Browns.
It's an easy matchup.
I mean,
definitely.
And now Joe Hayden's his teammates.
Right, Joe Hayden's his teammate now, doesn't have to worry about that. I mean, who can stop him? Probably no one. I expect him and Big Ben both to have huge days out in Cleveland. Moving on to my sit-em, actually Dak Prescott is what I'm going with for my sit-em.
Okay.
I still stick by my prediction that the Cowboys will win that game, but I think it'll be a low-scoring game. It honestly might be below 20, like 17, 15, around there. So I just feel like there won't be a lot of explosive offense. There won't be a lot of big plays. As you allude to with the Dez Bryant sit, I kind of agree with that. I just think anyone offensively in this game is going to be limited because there's a lot of good defense on the field from New York.
Definitely.
My sleeper, I got Stephon Diggs. Probably I don't even know if it's really a sleeper. Maybe a light sleeper. A light sleeper. Not a deep sleep, but a light sleep. Yeah. I mean, on Minnesota, he's probably their number one target at the moment. Sam Bradford having a whole offseason now in this new offense, getting acclimated. Adam Thielen really came on at the end of last year, which takes some pressure off him. So I look for Diggs to have a good game this week also. And that will just about do it for us, folks, here at Coast to Coast Sports. Thank you for tuning in. For Cristian Egurbide and Vinny Asito, I'm Nate Smith. We'll see you next week.